Would you agree that a man who is extremely attractive and a woman who is extremely attractive, when they get together, it's just going to be problems? Because the man might be insecure and jealous, and the woman might be the same.
It can work really well if they have no kind of concerns and they're happy to lock off all alternatives. We always match better with people who are equal to us. Always. Looks-wise, finances-wise, our equal. We always match better, and it's called the matching hypothesis. You actually last longer. The problem is these people tend to have too many alternatives. When problems arise, there's so many alternatives, and it doesn't even have to be other men or other women. It can be like, I'm going to go on holiday with my friends. Whereas when you meet people with very little options, you take the average person, when you go back to Leeds and you see couples that have been together for 20, 30 years since you were in high school and they're still together. But if you look at their options, it's less. They're actually more satisfied. So the less options you have, the more invested and satisfied you are in your relationship. So it's actually, unfortunately, more options doesn't mean more happiness.
Yeah, because I think if you have more options, you have more desire. And if you don't fulfill those desires, then you're going to be unhappy.
Yeah, and also when you have more options, you have less tolerance. You're thinking, you can't talk to me like that. I've got so many other guys. Or you're thinking, she can't deny me. I've got so many other options. And so it's that you have low tolerance for flawed behavior. Yeah.
What would you describe as being a top 1% female?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I hear it all the time, men. But
well, I do think beauty and all these things, you can't ignore that. Like, obviously, she has to be aesthetically, she has to be pleasing. But I just think that if she is the most beautiful girl in the world, but she is available and accessible to lots of men, and she's disloyal to you, she loses her value. Because she makes you look like an idiot and she makes herself look accessible. So without that loyalty factor, and loyalty doesn't just mean she's not sleeping with other men. Loyalty also means she's not exposing herself to other men. Because before, you'd have to work to see a girl naked, really, really have to work for it. If she's allowing access to the rest of the society to see that, I do think it takes away her mystery. So a 1% woman would have to make her man look like somebody that other men are jealous of. And now, if other men can still see your girlfriend naked, then less jealous of you. They're just less jealous of you. So
why are they doing that then?
Because, like I said, they get rewarded for it. They're
more
like
likely to.
But they're going to meet a 1% man.
No, but let's say, for example, that they're already in a relationship with a good guy. Why did they continue to do it?
I would say if you're in a relationship with a good guy and being satisfied are two different things. I think when you're with a good guy and he treats you well and he's really kind to you, but if you're a chaotic woman and you crave chaos, what will happen is you always need validation from other men. You always need reminding that you can be with other men whenever you need it. But if you're a woman who's so happy to stop all of that, just to be with one man, you'll stop posting. If your woman is still posting, there's a part of her that doesn't feel totally satisfied with the love you give her. And it's not got nothing to do with you. It might be to do with her own insecurities before she entered the relationship. And they haven't been resolved yet.
Well, I think there's definitely some couples or individuals who just crave drama.
Yeah.
I've been with some women who, they just want to pick fights. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why?
But do you think that men tend to, and women, do you think people attach to people who give them more drama?
I think the excitement makes things more interesting.
Yeah.
It keeps each other on their toes.
Yeah. And they get preoccupied.
I'm sure if me being the way I am now definitely keeps my partner on her toes. I'm not being like disrespectful or doing anything bad, but there's an element of mystery.
Right.
So because I live by myself, she's always thinking, maybe what is he doing?
Yeah.
And I say, I'm going out for dinner. And then she'll be like, who's going out to
dinner? Do you believe in monogamy? Do you believe in being faithful? Or do you think it's difficult in this day and age?
I do. I think it probably is one of the main things which is going to allow for a successful relationship to flourish. I just think it's really, really hard.
And what would it require for you to be monogamous?
I just have to be very disciplined.
Okay.
I think it's largely just down to discipline. Because if you are like top 1% man, you're always going to have those options until maybe you get too old.
Yeah.
And you're always going to have the urges.
Yeah.
Men have urges, sexual desires with different women. That's just the way it is.
And
so those men who are in successful relationships and they don't cheat, it's mostly down to the fact that they're extremely disciplined and they can control their emotions.
And do you think that makes him more high value than a man that is?
Well, yeah, technically on paper, way more high value.
So do you agree with
that is the ultimate.
That is but the thing is, the ultimate source of high value is self-control. If you can exercise self-control, you start to respect yourself more. Every time, think of the times where you could have cheated and you said no, you feel like a superhero. You're like, oh my God, I rejected her. I feel so good about myself. Or even when you...
But not when the relationship's over.
You know what I mean. Yeah. Or even like when it's getting drunk or something like that, and you control yourself. And you're like, no, I'm not drinking tonight. And every time we exercise self-control, we gain self-respect, and every time we gain self-respect, we gain self-esteem. So the man that doesn't give in to his impulses is the most free man in the world. Whereas the man that just, if I want it, I do it. Because a lot of this red pill kind of conversation is a strong man, as a high value man, does what he wants. No, the reality is a high value man who can resist temporary desires for long-term goals. Doesn't drink because he's got work tomorrow. Doesn't sleep with that girl because he doesn't want to get rid of her in the morning. He thinks about his long-term self. Self-control is true freedom, not doing whatever you want, because that's nonsense.